I'm Casey Reed, 32, standing in a small flat that smells faintly of fresh paint and lemon oil, a place that should have felt like a beginning. Fairy lights gather themselves into soft constellations along the balcony rail, bowls of crisps and laughter orbit the kitchen island, voices rise and fall like warm waves. I'm pregnant, proud, a little breathless, and very ready to stop renting my life by the month and finally live it. For once, the horizon looks steady. And then my sister takes the microphone. Sheila's voice slices through the room with the sharpness of a paper cut. I've already spoken to a lawyer, she says, simple words, but heavy, like coins dropped into a well. From this moment on, I am the owner of this house. She turns, points, performs. She is no longer welcome here. Silence. It comes quickly, as if the room has been practicing for it. Glasses stall halfway to mouths. A guest's laugh collapses, gracelessly, into nothing. My husband's eyes slide to the floor. He lifts his wine in a studied, neutral arc, and avoids meeting my gaze. Under the table, Monica, best friend, quiet compass, finds my hand and squeezes. That's what the world feels like when it tilts, a single warm hand keeping you from tipping with it. I count in my head, a little ritual I invented in childhood and never told anyone. 3, 2, 1, and the hush deepens. I reach for my bag with steady fingers and pull out what nobody is expecting, not a weapon, not a tantrum, just the calm, patient shape of evidence. Because this isn't the end. It's the beginning of a fight, for a child who hasn't yet taken her first breath, for a door I paid for and a bed where I have finally slept without the nagging fear of the landlord's letterbox clatter. But to understand a moment like this, you have to walk back through the quieter corridors that lead to it. 6 months earlier, we signed the papers, 3 bedrooms, plenty of light, and windows that collect the morning like spoons. I could already see the nursery, gentle yellow walls, a white cot tucked by the glass so the sun could find us. I could hear Derek, my husband, laughing as he held up silly lamp shades from catalogs, making extravagant cases for each one. We stayed up late and built a future out of swatches and jokes, and for a while, it felt exactly like love. Then something shifted. It doesn't happen with a bang, it happens in lowercase. Late returns, the soft tyranny of a buzzing phone, the screen turned down like a shy face. Work, he said, which is a perfectly ordinary lie, the sort the world forgives because the world is practiced at forgiving it. And then, Sheila. 2 years older. Always sure she knows what's best because she's rehearsed that line so long she believes it. Did you pay the mortgage? Came one text. Are you sure you can afford the place? Came another. Little needles. Little pricks. I told myself it was concern, I told myself to be gracious. But concern doesn't use a measuring tape in your living room while you're still carrying groceries in from the car. These curtains won't do, she said, eyes scanning the room like a valuer. You need something classier. How did you get in? She waved it away. Derek gave me a key. Said you wouldn't mind. I minded. I minded so much the air fizzed behind my eyes. But pregnancy makes your anger hold itself differently, like it knows someone else is listening. So I swallowed it and asked Derek later. He shrugged, wore the shrug like armor, changed the subject, flipped his phone screen face down like a guilty coin. Relax, he said. The thing about a feeling is that it becomes a map if you let it. Monica watched me navigate. Over coffee, I poured it all out, the key, the texts, the way Sheila stood in my kitchen as if the floorboards admired her. Monica stirred her latte and narrowed her eyes in that way that means she's taking me seriously. That isn't normal, she said. She's behaving like she has a stake in your home. Start paying attention. So I did. I saw Sheila's fingertips on my paperwork, heard the bright little chime of her opinions. You should refinance. I know a guy. How did she know about the loan? How did she know anything she shouldn't have known? When I asked Derek, his voice was bored with me. She's helping, Casey. Honestly. Helping, such a beautiful word, so often misused. And then I caught a glimpse of an email. A subject line like the edge of a cliff, apartment docs. His laptop left open, steam from the shower winding from the corridor. My hands, traitors, moved without my permission. I read. He had sent her the mortgage contract, the one with my name on it because his credit went through a rough patch and never quite recovered. I took a photo of the screen. When evidence presents itself, you take it. You don't argue with the rain, you get a bucket. Monica again. Greasy fries, weak coffee, and the kind of friendship that speaks plainly. Save everything, she said. Every text, every visit, every comment that doesn't sit right. And check your documents. Don't assume. Trust is lovely, and sometimes it's also a trap. So I started recording my life. Screenshots of Sheila suggesting paint colors for when this place is mine. Dates and times, visits and exits, the breathless little details that would sound petty if they didn't rhyme so neatly with each other. A thread revealing itself stitch by stitch. The housewarming arrives. Fairy lights. Paper plates. Neighbors and cousins and polite jokes. Derek is there and not there, physically present, emotionally buffering. Sheila arrives late, carrying weather in with her. At some point she takes the microphone and, with the kind of certainty that only the wrong people possess, declares herself the owner of my home. Points at me as if I were furniture in need of removal. The room inhales. And if you'd paused the night right then, taken a still, you'd see three things. My husband staring at the floor like he's mislaid his integrity down there. Monica's hand anchored around mine, and me, very still, remembering to breathe for two. A week later, it becomes uglier, more explicit. Paula from the office messages, lunch? It's about Derek. She shows me a photo, Derek and Sheila, heads close, the kind of closeness that belongs to people who have decided to be careless. She shows me a text she managed to capture, Casey's clueless. Once we push her out, the apartment's ours. There are words that bruise more deeply because of who speaks them. These were some of those. That night, Derek's phone is unlocked, carelessness again, or fatigue. I scroll. Messages. Months of them. Keep her distracted, he says. I'll handle the rest. Sometimes betrayal is as pedestrian as logistics. I cry, quietly, stubbornly, and keep reading. You can break and gather proof at the same time. It turns out those things aren't mutually exclusive. I call Sheila the next day and press record before she answers. Why are you doing this? I ask, voice steady in that way voices can be when they've finally made a decision to stop shaking. You're in over your head, she says, an old, patronizing line dressed up as concern. That apartment is too much. I'm resolving things. By claiming my home? A pause. And then the mask slips the smallest amount, just enough to catch the light. You should have stayed out of the way. Derek and I will take care of it. That's an admission, not complete, not clean, but enough for a decent solicitor to hold at the right angle in court. Monica and I spread everything across her kitchen table that evening. Texts, screenshots, the mortgage in my name, Paula's photo, the recorded call. We label folders like we're organizing a life raft. You've got enough, she says. Find a lawyer who isn't afraid of the word family. Laura Martinez sits in a small office that smells of paper and peppermint tea. She is precise, unafraid, and very kind, which is the best possible combination. We'll file against Sheila for fraud and attempted forgery, she says, tapping her pen thoughtfully, and against Derek for violating your privacy. We'll move quickly. And you'll move out. Today. Leaving the flat is a heavy choreography, the sort of movement that looks simple until you're inside it. Monica makes up her spare room. I press a hand to my belly and tell my daughter that sometimes leaving is the bravest type of staying loyal to yourself. Sheila posts a ridiculous monologue on social media, complete with invented details about me abandoning my husband and mismanaging my finances. Strangers pick sides as if my life were a sport. Monica touches my shoulder. "Don't feed it," she says. "We'll answer where it counts." Paula brings another piece, an email from Sheila to a local agency claiming co-ownership and requesting a title transfer. The signature pretending to be mine is almost flattering in its effort. Almost. We add it to the file. I meet Derek in a park and ask questions into my pocket, where my phone is quietly collecting his answers. He doesn't deny it. He blames momentum, poor choices, and, conveniently, Sheila. Cowardice is often a duet. Court is not dramatic in the way films suggest. It is measured. It is patient. It is a place where time belongs to the truth, or at least to the best attempt at it. Laura presents our mosaic, the recorded call, the messages, the photo, the forged request, the contract with my name, the pattern that reveals intent. The judge listens. Sheila's explanation unravels quickly, a jumper pulled by a thread. Derek looks at the floor again, a habit, it seems. The ruling arrives with the sound of a small wooden hammer and a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. The flat is mine. Solely, clearly. Sheila's forgery triggers a separate investigation. Derek is ordered to pay damages for what he shared and how he shared it. On the same afternoon, I sign divorce papers. My hand is steady. Grief can be steady, it doesn't have to be dramatic to be sure of itself. 2 months later, Ivy arrives, sunlight and milk and a tiny fist wrapped round my finger. Monica is there. We cry, the two of us, from relief, from the type of joy that hurts because you almost didn't get to it. I move into a smaller place with big windows. We hang new curtains. We breathe. The quiet feels earned. And if you ask me now what this story is about, I will tell you it's not about property. It's about boundaries. About learning the difference between help and control. About how sometimes the people who share your blood are the ones most eager to convince you that bleeding is normal. It isn't. It's about the dignity of proof, the way a screenshot can be a lifeline when a conversation becomes a weapon. It's about listening to that first small unease and respecting it as you would a smoke alarm. It's about how silence can be complicity, how a husband's lowered eyes can say more than a sister's raised voice. And it's about the ordinary heroism of friends who turn their kitchen tables into war rooms and their spare rooms into sanctuaries. Mostly, though, it's about a woman who stopped asking for permission to defend what was hers. If you're listening to this with a knot in your stomach because a version of Sheila currently has a key to your life, hear me, change the locks. Not out of bitterness, out of self-respect. Document what's real. Speak in places that count. Remember that love without honesty is just choreography, and you are allowed to refuse the dance. I'm Casey. I keep the fairy lights. I keep the evidence. I keep the window that catches the morning and the cot by the glass. I keep my daughter's name, Ivy, because it means growth that survives winter. And I keep my voice, steady, warm, and mine. Sometimes one sentence changes everything. Here's mine. No, not today. Not this home. Not this woman. Not this child. Not ever again. If this story touched a nerve, breathe. You're not alone. Share what you've lived through, or what you're quietly preparing to leave, in the comments. Your words might be someone else's courage. And if you'd like more calm, honest stories like this, about boundaries, dignity, and rebuilding, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for listening, and take gentle care of yourself tonight.